the next match was another long, the hits just keep on coming. These are all main events. This is a super card here. Malakai Black against Cody Rhodes. And Brian, you called it. I scoffed and I laughed when you said it because I thought that would just be ridiculous and completely see-through and egregious and everything else. And you called it and I scoffed, and Cody's coming down the ramp and calls out Brandi to come with him.
I had no doubt.
We just talked about there's no reason for a person to be on a television program. Can somebody explain to me the reason, working reason? I know the shoot reason. The shoot reason is what you said. There's 20,000 people there, and it's a big TV program, and she's going to be on it regardless, no matter what, whether it makes any sense or not, because for the same reason that before she at least, had mercy on the wrestling fans at large and got pregnant and stayed off television, her face was in everything. Her name was in everything. She perked her nose into everything. Remember, to the point where the fans started doing the cartoons with AEW Dynamite with Brandi. She's peeking in a window. She's everywhere. She's involved in everything. And now, this guy, this new fearsome heel, he's hurt Arn Anderson. He's hurt Dustin Rhodes. He's hurt old Shoddy Lee Johnson. He's hurt Cody himself. Only the badass Rosario Dawson can hang with Malakai Black, and Cody brings his recently pregnant wife to ringside in anywhere near this monster.
In her bathing suit, apparently.
In her bathing suit. And when Malakai Black bumps Cody Rhodes out of the ring and sits down in his cross-legged deal, Brandi rolls in, sits cross-legged in front of him, and gives him the finger. What the No wonder the crowd was booing every breath that Cody Rhodes took. This was it. This was the one they couldn't mute the sound. They couldn't talk their way out of it. Everything that Malakai Black did, the people came unglued. Everything that Cody Rhodes did, it was like 20,000 people at the same time had seen some stranger break into their house and sodomize the family Dalmatian. They hated it. The only thing they wanted to see Cody do was get the shit kicked out of him. And I don't even think they wanted to see Brandi get the shit kicked out of her. I just think they didn't want to fucking see Brandi at all. So with this situation, as they say, Malakai Black was a raving babyface, and Cody was the hottest heel on the show. And they go through the break. They come back. Did Malakai Black at one point hit that kick out of nowhere? And it was either stiff or perfect, but there wasn't any daylight in it, and it got a big pop, and Cody just falls to the floor out cold, and then Malakai's trying to get the dead body in. This match was serious. They were serious about it. This match made sense, except for Brandi being there at all. The only drawback to this match was that the fans were cheering every single move that the heel made and roasting the babyface. And everything that Malakai Black did got more over as time went on. And when Cody cut her out of nowhere and hit the crossroads, and Malakai Black kicked out at the count of 2, it was like in the old days when a fucking babyface would kick out in the nick of time. Got a huge pop. And then we've said before that every time Malakai Black has had every match he's had, it's been good. And then something happens in the finish, whether it's the mind games that he tries to play because he's spooky, or something happens in the finish where we lose him, falls apart, whatever. And I hate that in this time it had to be Arn Anderson. But what they were going for was for when Malakai Black got kicked out of that Cody Cutter and the Crossroads, the big pop, Arn would get up on the apron and complain to the referee that the count was slow, which would enable Cody and Malakai to get to their feet, and Malakai was going to reverse some kind of deal and shoot Cody off into Arn. Boom. So then Arn would go down, and then apparently what was going to happen was Cody would still nail Malakai Black, but go to check on Arn. And during that period of time, Malakai Black would recover somehow, and they'd go in the corner and they'd do their finish. The point is, the whole goddamn thing fell apart. Arn got up on the apron, but it wasn't apparently the right apron for them to do the reversal that they needed to do, and Cody collide with Arn, and then Malakai Black get dumped over onto the entrance ramp. So instead of just going with what they had, if you go back and watch the DVR, you see the referee going in between Arn and Cody and back, and the conversation from, I can't tell what they said, but from being in these instances, the referee saying get down to Arn, but then Cody saying other side, and then Arn tries to go around the ring post without getting off the apron and go to the other side of the apron. And Arn's gained weight, and his arms aren't as long as they used to be. And as he's going around the post and trying to hold on, he fell off the apron. Just like poor old Dr. Luther did. Remember that they tried to have him have a match a while back, and he fell off the apron. Arn fell off the apron, and the place popped. Because even though, if Arn Anderson had gone out and they'd done a segment to honor Arn Anderson and his career, the place would have gave him a standing ovation. Because they love the Horsemen in New York, and they respect the legends. But because Arn is in Cody's corner, and now Arn has fallen off the apron of the ring, obviously not on purpose, the fucking place died laughing. Because he's in Cody's corner, and Cody can do no right in this building. Then he has to get up, and you know he had to be fucking miserable inside, and he has to get up on the proper apron. And by then, Malakai Black and Cody have had to get in the right spot, and then he shoots Cody off, and Cody goes into Arn, and Arn takes another bump back to the floor. And then Cody knocks Malakai Black off onto the ramp so that he can go underneath the ring and get his mist. Because they don't know how to do the mist, apparently. A mist handoff that doesn't involve the guy that's doing the mist putting his whole head and upper body under the ring to get the mist. He wouldn't have to gone anywhere. If they'd asked me, I'm not going to reveal it now. Maybe somebody will ask me later on, but you wouldn't need to gone anywhere if you'd have done this right. But anyway, so Cody tosses Malakai Black in and puts him back in the corner and starts beating on him as the crowd boos relentlessly. Then Cody, instead of drawing back to punch fucking Malakai Black and accidentally catching the referee, Cody just back elbows the referee into the fucking second row on purpose and turns around, and Malakai Black spits the mist into Cody's face and small packages him 1, 2, 3 to a huge pop, huge babyface pop. And then you see the shot of Cody laying there, and Malakai Black's the mist, that's hard to say, the mist missed Cody's eyes. He misted Cody's mouth, neck, and chest, and Cody sold it like he was blind, but when they show, you can clearly see there's no fucking mist in his eyes.
And boy, will that make Brandi mad.
And boy, will that make Brandi mad. So the point is, they started the match was fine, except that the reactions were reversed from the people. But then it was so overbooked at the finish that it fell apart, and it was what it was. But the people were incredibly happy to see Malakai Black beat the guy who, when the company started, was pretty much the top single babyface in the company.
And now there are real stars.
And I'll tell you what, well, let me ask you this. Danielson versus give me the greatest 3 matches in AEW history that you remember so far that we've seen.
The greatest in terms of matches I've enjoyed?
The best 3 matches in AEW history, in your opinion.
Jeez, well, Omega Danielson may be on the list, believe it or not. FTR Young Bucks was Young Bucks, Omega, and Page may have been the best Young Bucks match because they gave them more than they gave fucking FTR. I'm not sure what Dustin Cody would be a pick for a lot of people. I don't know if I would put it on there, but that would be a pick for a lot of people. I'm not sure what the third one will be.
Okay, I'm going to say Dustin and Cody is still my favorite because that most closely resembled a professional wrestling match with the heat and the juice and the story and the selling and the whole 9 yards.
You know what, though? In a way, that best exemplified Cody Rhodes' booking. When you really think about it, until that match, there was no Dustin Cody feud. They created it with some online videos. Cody was acting like a real prick in those videos. They have the match. Cody immediately starts crying and saying, "I want my brother back." They went from 0 to 100 in like a week.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying in the ring as a match, I think Cody and Dustin, as to the best of my memory, is still the best because it was a great pro wrestling match and not this modern bullshit. I have to say, I think that Danielson and Olivier may be number 2 or number 3. I'm trying to remember another really great one. I know somebody will say, "Oh, but Cornette, you said a year ago that such and such was the best match." Well, then
we are
remind
forgetting
me of it.
We have to be forgetting something. I just don't know what.
But it's insane that to this fan base, Harpo's been involved in some of this ridiculous shit, and they loved him to death until somebody comes along like Danielson that's better. Cody started out the company having the best matches, and they hate the shit out of him now. It's because he has booked himself to be such a pompous, not only a pompous ass with a glory hound wife, but trying to be a star on the game shows and all this other stuff over and above being a wrestler. And also, as you said, starting these things that now it's pattern. Somebody comes in and kicks the shit out of him easily. He's gone for a month or 6 weeks. They get some heat on some peripheral characters, and he comes back in and beats them. At least this time, he didn't come back and beat the fucking guy, which I think is what everybody in this building was scared was going to happen.
Yeah, but he came out in a cape.
Well, at least he's not like Nia Jax, and he put a cape on a refrigerator.
I think this is no surprise to me. I knew this was how people were going to react to Cody because there's no reason to cheer for him.
You've been calling it for months. When the people got back in the building and the bigger the crowd, the more they're going to boo him, and they have.
Because Cody's presented like a baby face that fans would cheer for if you paid the fans to be there and cheer, like it's Universal Studios or something back in the old days, or Paul Alperstein's AWF. Cody doesn't actually perform the way anyone else on that show who's popular with fans does. Either in the ring, although his matches may be the thing that helps him the most, but the promos and these weird angles and feuds, whether it's QT or Jade or Team Taz, I forgot about that one with Hook. We talked about that the other day. And then there's fucking Bonnie, who has to come out with him everywhere he fucking goes.
Ms. Steamboat to you.
Exactly. And here's where I'm going to put my money down. I've been right about everything with Cody so far. I think that Cody's smart enough to recognize that he can't be a babyface right now because he's so fucking unlikable, and that show hasn't even fucking started yet. Once that show starts, it's going to be even more ridiculous.
Oh shit! You know what? We have to watch that too, just to see what the fuck, right?
But yeah, that could
make
week.
him.
Yeah,
that could make him the hottest heel they've ever had, because it'll be a ton of Brandi, and Brandi brings heat on anybody in her periphery.
Oh, you should talk to people in the back. But what I was going to say is, I think Cody is smart enough to know that he has to be a heel. There's no choice. And I think Cody's going to fuck it up somehow. Like, there'll be moments like, yeah. And then like, whoa, what is he doing now? Why is this happening? Why is Brandi there? See, that's the other problem. Cody goes heel. Who is going to enjoy that more than Brandi? Oh my God, I get to take out all my Halloween costumes. I get to go on TV and act evil. It's everything we worked on in acting class.
Don't tell her to go out and act anyway. Just tell her to go out and be herself, and you'll have so much heat you won't know what to do. There'll be snipers in the building.
Cody's in the weirdest position of anyone there, and quite frankly, a heel turn, if he did it right, would be fantastic.
And see, here's the thing. He's almost the opposite of his father, because his father was a genius booker that could make himself the beloved underdog babyface no matter what. But his in-ring work, Dusty's, especially as he aged, wasn't to the level of a lot of the other guys in the territory, but because he was so over and he was able to talk and book, he stayed over all the baby faces. Cody has been the exact opposite. He can go in the ring. Cody's matches, you said he doesn't wrestle like all the other people that those fans like. No, he's actually good. He can work. He was the first one in the company and the only one in the company that was having wrestling matches that made sense, that weren't funny, didn't have obvious cooperation, didn't fucking involve all the children and etc.
It was nonstop ringside shit with Brandi or Arn.
Hold on. So his matches, his working style, I said the exact opposite of Dusty, but his booking and overbooking and weird booking. He was the best fucking babyface in the ring that they had when they started, and by the time he's finished booking himself, the people hate him, which was the exact opposite of his father, who couldn't really, especially in the latter days of his career, hang with the other baby faces on the card athletically, but made up for it with his promos, his charisma, and the way he booked himself. This has been exactly the opposite. And I think a lot of the heat comes from everybody can see that Brandi is just being pushed, shoehorned into the picture wherever because she has to be on television. Whether there's any applicable reason for her to be there or not, and she's not a good wrestler. The only good promo she ever gave in her life was against fucking Jane Cargill when she bowed up that one time and became Butch Reed. And people can tell she's there because she's his wife. For a heel, it would work. But for a babyface, it hasn't. Anyway.
And how's that going to be if he goes heel and you have that fucking show airing trying to present them as sympathetic figures because they're balancing all these hard things like parenthood and work and, the things that all of us balance in our daily lives every single fucking day.
I don't balance anything with my work.
Well, you don't.
All righty then.